Big Q reached out to me, asked if I wanted to take a look at their Huracan. I said, sure, it's the closest I'll ever get to a Lamborghini. And here we have the newest printer by BQ. It's the Huracan.
Whoa, you got a Lambo?
It's a Clipper-based printer. And this video got really long on me. Sorry about that, but no worries. There's chapters down below to jump where you want to go. Here we have some sample filament. And you know what I do with those. Absolute waste. And we got a bag of stuff. This is all your tools and hardware, nuts, bolts, whatever. And yeah, power cord. And what's this? Ooh, nifty. An Ethernet cable. Nice. Doesn't say what cat number it is, but... And what do we have here? We have a ADXL 345. Okay. Let's see what that's used for a little bit later on. Ooh, a duck. And I think his squeaker is broken. Shouldn't need that much effort to make it squeak. BQ, you owe me a duck. Here's a little manual, I guess. Now this was pre-production. It was sent to me a while ago. We have a Bowden tube. And a fastener. And here we have a little display. It's a mini 12864 LCD. And next we have the spool holder. This is mounted on the top with 2 T-nuts. And that was on the first layer. Let's see what we have in the second layer. We have our X-axis, and this has a filament runout sensor and dual cooling on here. Oh, and auto bed leveling. Next we have our gantry here. It only has one Z-axis, but it's a relatively small machine. The build volume is 220 by 270. And here we have the base. You'll notice by the strain relief we have a power switch. This is actually for 2 heating zones, inner and the hole. And it also has a flex sheet. Not too bad. And that looks to be it. Let's go ahead and get rid of the box. And here's everything. Looks like a lot, but it goes together rather quickly. First we're going to remove the Z-axis. And then we're going to go ahead and slide on the X rail here. You're going to want to move the X-axis pretty far up, and then you're going to remove the cover off the lead screw and start threading it in. And then push it up, and now we're going to secure it with the 2 screws. Next, we're going to mount the gantry to the base. This just requires 2 screws on either side. And what I do is I overhang the printer a little bit so I'm not leaning it on its side, and install the 2 screws, torque them down. And it's kind of notched so you can't really mess this one up. Next we're going to put the spool holder up on the top. We got 2 T-nuts, just make sure that they're loosely on here, and we're going to just screw them on and lock them to the extrusion on the top. Pretty easy. Next, let's install this little screen. It just takes 2 screws. But first we're going to peel off the tape here. And both of these cables are numbered. EXP1 and EXP2. There's the number 2 and there's the number 1. Now if we look at the back of the display, that's clearly marked as well. I'll go ahead and plug them in. And now all we have to do is put the 2 screws in. And the display is now mounted. And nope, you did not get any pair of flush cutters. BQ, where are my flush cutters? So we're gonna have to trim off these zip ties here, and then pull some tape, and let's start plugging things in. We're gonna plug in the Z stepper motor. Everything's clearly labeled. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in the E and filament runout sensor. x-axis and x-axis limit switch. It's kind of buried in there, but it's easy to do. And we have the ribbon cable for the top. And it just snaps into place. And next we're going to focus on some cable management. Putting some zip ties around here. And yes, I'm not holding on to them. I want to see how far they will launch across the room. Sweep it up later. Now let's go ahead and put on the Bowden tube coupler. Torque it down, not too tight. And let's go ahead and put the Bowden tube in. Pushing it in as far as it'll go. And do the same for the hot end. So you should be able to look through this little window here to see if your power switch is in the right location. Well, I had some cables in the way, but it is at 115. So let's go ahead and put that sticker back on. And here we have a spring steel bed. It's a PEI on both sides. And peely time. With bonus scratches underneath. Now it's time to level the bed, tram the bed, whatever. Whichever you prefer. So we're going to go to control. And we're going to home first, and then we'll do a manual level. The machine is rather quiet, and it only turns on the fans during operation, which is nice. And we're going to just do the paper scratch method for all 5 points. Just want to do all the corners. Sometimes you have to go around more than once. And just make sure there's just a little bit of a drag on each of the corners, including the center. Then you're going to do your bed mesh here, and this is sped up by 8 times. So no, it does not go this fast. Sorry. So, and then your mesh is complete. There are some zigzag test files, and you can just go ahead and adjust your Z offset. Yep. And now let's go ahead and print the Benchy that's on the card. BQ, you owe me a duck. That one doesn't squeak. And let's see how well it sticks to the flex sheet. I know I'm supposed to flex it, but let's see how hard it sticks. Wow, that's pretty impressive. And yeah, it's a little bit of an oversized Benchy, and it looks really good, minus that little whisker at the bottom. Now, since this has Klipper, we want to make sure that we can access it through a computer. And right now, we have no IP address. Well, that's easily solved. We have to first shut it down. It's very important that you shut it down. And yeah, let me just say that there'll be reference to that in the video a little bit later. Looks like I gave it enough time, so let's go ahead and now take out the SD card, throw it in its little adapter here, and plug it into the computer to modify a file. We're going to open system.cfg in Notepad++. It's a free download, and we're going to just put in our Wi-Fi credentials here, the Wi-Fi SSID and the password. We're going to save it, and then we're going to put it back in and power up the machine. Now it does take about a minute for it to become fully operational. So get some coffee or something, or go to use the bathroom. If you successfully entered in all the correct credentials, you should see an IP address. And that is mine. So if we type that IP address in our web browser, you'll see that you have now a Klipper interface. And this is basically so you could be headless, so to speak. And you have lots of advanced features in here, and there's people that make plugins for it, Klipper. And but now what we're going to do is go into Cura and add the printer. So we can slice some files here. So we're going to do the BQB1, name it to Huracan or whatever you want to name it. And we're going to change it to 220 by 220 by, and just leave 270, and that is it. And then we hit next. Now this is a display that's on Vorons and other Klipper machines, and I'm not the biggest fan of it. From what I understand, this has a Klipper screen built in. So let's go ahead and install a Klipper screen. Well, this is my first time using Fusion 360, and yeah, went through about a full roll of filament designing the case for the HDMI 7 for the Huracan. So please be gentle. It's on Thanks. I'll post it on the link below. Now you can just go ahead and slice the model in your Cura, and then you could go to Marketplace and there's an add-in for Klipper. But we're going to just do it old school here. We're going to go ahead and slice it. We're going to save it locally. And then all you have to do is either drag the file into here, or you could go upload and print, grab the file there, and it open. And that's See it upload. That easy. And it'll just send the command to the printer. Before we continue, let's talk about today's video sponsor. And today's video sponsor is PCBWay. Are you looking for a PCB? Well, look no further than PCBWay. They're their one-stop shop for your PCB and manufacturing needs. Want to just generate a quote? It's pretty simple. Then you could do a standard PCB, advanced PCB, you could do a FTC rigid flex PCB, you could do some assembly, and you can also do SMD stenciling. But that's not it. They also offer CNC and 3D printing. It's literally a one-stop shop for all your needs. Looking for a little project to do? Look at the shared projects. And you can go ahead and basically order a whole kit and just do a little project that someone else has created. It's a great community section to share your ideas and have other people build the projects that you are working on. And I would like to thank PCBWay for sponsoring this video. Now let's continue on to the BQ Huracan. And would you look at that? The bottom has been printed. And what I did was added a little bit more rigidity to where the bracket goes. And you'll need to use some heated inserts for the threaded parts. But I think it came out rather nice. And here we have the top, the frame. And you'll see a little bit of ghosting and ringing here, but maybe we'll resolve that a little bit later. And I did shut it down properly, but that's what happens when you shut it down. Everything just blinks. Let's go ahead and assemble the case. Here we have the HDMI 7-inch. We're going to use the 4 screws on the back. Comes with it. And we're going to use the M4 by 6x6, 3 of them, for the heated inserts. Now I'm just taking these flush cutters here. I'm holding it down in place. I'm not holding the soldering iron with it or the piece. Here, let me zoom in so you can take a look. So I'm pushing the soldering iron, heating up the insert, and then I'm taking the flush cutters and I'm just going to hold down the top of it. So when I take the soldering iron out, I'm not lifting out the heated insert along with it. If you have a wider tip soldering iron, you most likely won't have to worry about it as much. But again, just push it in and then hold it down with the flush cutters. There we go. And then you may have to flip it over and do some trimming, and that should be it. Start in on an angle with the port side first, and it just slides right in. You want to side with the 3 heated inserts away from the HDMI port. Then we're going to take the 4 bolts that came with your HDMI 7 and go ahead and screw it in. Now there might be some cleanup work for those holes, but it should be pretty minimal. And there you go, it's all assembled. Now the front will be a little loose, but once we secure it against the side, it'll be nice and rigid. Now we got plate operation. We got to take out all these screws here. There's a lot of them. I think there's a total of 10 that hold this back panel on. And for speed, we're going to just use a power screwdriver. Let's take off the back panel here. And when we remove the panel, we'll see the BTT Manta M4P CB1 board. However, there's 2 connectors here that I would say this should have ferrules on it. They got tinned ends, so grab your favorite pair of dull wire strippers. Let's go ahead and put some ferrules on these 2. Just makes it for a lot more solid of a connection. So go ahead and squeeze, got the ferrule on, put it back in, and give it a little tug, make sure that everything's nice and secure. And let's do the same thing for this wire here. Clip off the soldered end and strip with your, again, your favorite dull wire strippers. Let's put the ferrule back on here, squeeze, and put it in, and make sure it's nice and secure, that it's not going anywhere. Figured since I was in here, you know, might as well just get it done. Get her done. Now let's finish installing the clipper display, clipper screen, whatever, the HDMI 7. We're going to take the included HDMI cord, and it's going to be a flat side facing up. We're going to go ahead and plug it in the HDMI port. And now we're going to just go ahead and remove the bracket holding the little display on, and we're going to reuse all the screws. So just take them all out. And now we're going to just transplant them onto the new display. Now you're going to go ahead and mount it to the side with the existing hardware. And feel free to modify the file all you want. Maybe you want to mount it to the top. Feel free, go ahead. Go ahead and plug in the HDMI. Then followed by the USB-C that provides power to the display. Now I did tidy it with some zip ties here and did a little bit of a loop and tucked the USB wire behind here and through the back side and plugged it in. Wire it how you feel and just put the bottom panel back on. I noticed the orientation is wrong, so the center button on top will correct that. Not what I was thinking I would see here. You know, some of them will see a boot screen here, but not showing what I thought. I got a big bar on the right, and plugged into little display, and it shows that it's ready, but as you can see, it's still booting up here. So this is rather odd. It's supposed to work right out of the box. I noticed that I didn't have Clipper Screen as one of my config files, which it should have. I tried running all my updates, and half of them were failing. And I was chatting with DB3D Dan, and he really likes Clipper, and he suggested that I try to install it, Clipper Screen via Kaya. So I went ahead and tried that, and unfortunately I had no luck with that. So I decided to pursue a different route. After doing some Google searching, I found the image for this Huracan. And it's actually under the Big Tree Tech CB1, and there it is. And if we look at the changelog, you'll see that it definitely has Clipper Screen on here. And we'll need to do some stuff to load the image onto the SD card. First, we're going to need to download the image that is in a zip format. We're going to need to download and install Balena Etcher. And now we're going to go ahead and search for our image that we uncompressed. And then we're going to need to choose the SD card from the machine. Make sure that you go ahead and plug it into the USB. And we're going to dump the image on here. Mine took about 10 plus minutes. And once complete, put the card in, and look at that. Display and everything worked. Just like it should. I unplugged the smaller display, and let's continue on. As you can see, the interface is a lot more streamlined. It has a little bit of a theme going on here with the Huracan, I guess, in the background. And everything is now working as it should. So I can go ahead and click through all the menus here. And unfortunately, all my previous history is gone. That's to be expected since I did wipe out the SD card and start all over. But I think this might be the first thing for people to do is to just download the newest and greatest firmware and just blow away the card and put this on here. And there's the Clipper Screen. That's why it's now working. So that is a nice thing to see. And let's go ahead and continue on and test some prints, shall we? I was testing these koalas here that I found on Things, and I was not getting the results that I was looking for. All of them came out rather nice. I just want something fast and simple to print. But you notice that there's some cubes down there. I decided to create my own boring calibration cube. Yes, it's Tripod's Garage, one and only. It's very boring, so if you have any suggestions how I could spice it up a little bit, make it more interesting, let me know. So I'm going ahead and printing this one at 200 millimeters per second, and let's see if we get some artifacts. All right, the print is complete. Pop, and all right, here we go. Right off the bat here, we see some ghosting / ringing here on the y-axis, and I believe all the other sides look good. Yep, not too bad. So let's go ahead and see if we can tune this to get rid of it. We're going to take the oddly shaped ADXL345 accelerometer, and we're going to put it on the fan and then plug it in. With that accelerometer now attached, we're going to hit home, and this will allow us to do the calibration that's needed. And this will be for the x-axis, since it's mounted on the hot end. I wonder if that accelerometer is actually meant for something else. Very oddly shaped. And then once it's done homing, we're going to go into the console and we're going to type in shaper_calibrate space axis equals x. And then once it's done, it's going to take a few minutes. We're going to save it. So you can right click on it, copy, paste it, hit save, or you can even do it on the display, or even in the upper right, save config. Now we're going to do the y-axis. Just use one of the screws for the strain relief, take it out, and secure it using that screw. Go into console, type in shaper underscore calibrate space axis equals y, and let it run. The whole thing just shakes a little bit and it makes some humming noises. Once complete, do the save config, or you can do it on the screen if you have the external screen, or you can do it in the upper right hand corner. This will restart Klipper, and now we can do another test print. And we're going to do the same exact file that we did before. Now this is just a little simple test, and it was the y-axis that was giving us a little bit of grief with some ghosting here. And yeah, looks to be gone now. That's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and get the other calibration cube and just compare the two. And we compare it side by side, and you can see the ringing on the left and it's gone on the right. So yeah, that does the input shaping does do its job. Of course, it wasn't that fast of a print, to be all honest. It was 200, and it was rather small. So, but this is just to give you an idea of what input shaping can do once it's calibrated. Now let's talk a little bit about the machine itself here. I was printing pretty well right out of the box, and I was seeing some rather odd behavior. And, this print is actually going really, really well. Layers are looking great, and I was preparing to do the case for the HDMI 7. And then all of a sudden, it just stops mid-print. I'm like, what is going on here? And I think I know what the cause is. So let's do a little stopwatch here. So I'm going to go ahead, I have both displays hooked up, and I'm going to shut down this printer here. I'm going to click shutdown, and I'm going to time it the best that I can, click them both at the same time. Okay. One thing that's good about having the Klipper screen hooked up, I can actually see when it's okay to turn it off. And it was around 9 seconds. And actually, I've seen that take a little bit longer to shut down than this. Problem is the little display just says shutdown, and that's it. You actually have no idea that there's a counter that it's in a shutdown sequence. And around 9 seconds was the fastest I've ever seen. I've seen it go a lot longer than that. So chances are I shut down the machine well before it was ready to be shut down, therefore corrupting the operating system. So I would say at least give it 30 seconds before you power it off. Another problem I had was the heated bed cable getting caught up on the y-axis. So I had to jerry-rig a cable tie to hold it in place. Given the fact that you give it some time to shut down and you go ahead and you update it to the latest firmware, I believe you will avoid any of those issues that I had. Then theoretically, if that solves all the issues, the only problem I had with the machine was the strain relief cable for the heated bed getting caught on the y-axis. And that was just a simple fix of loosely putting a zip tie on there. So hopefully I didn't bore you too much with this video, and I really appreciate you tuning into Tripod's Garage. Please have a wonderful day, evening, or weekend, or whenever you decide to watch this video. Thanks again for tuning in to Tripod's Garage.